Okay, buckle up, because today we're going on a seriously mind-bending journey. We are going to challenge absolutely everything you think you know about reality and your actual place in the universe. Welcome to this explainer, where we're going to completely unpack a really groundbreaking book called The Grand Biocentric Design by Robert Lanza, Matej Pavšek, and Bob Berman. Basically, we're going to summarize the entire concept of biocentrism. And don't worry if you've never heard that word before, because I'm going to explain it from the ground up, assuming you are a complete beginner. So, are you ready to question reality itself? Let's get into it.
Picture your morning cup of coffee, or, a massive, beautiful rainbow stretching across the sky. We all agree they exist, right? But I want you to stop and ask yourself something kind of crazy. Do they actually exist before you observe them? Or are your senses acting like the universe's ultimate barista, literally brewing up reality right there on the spot? Biocentrism throws out this wild, completely paradigm-shifting proposition. What if the universe isn't just sitting out there waiting to be looked at, but instead, our consciousness is actually shaping it?
There's this incredibly famous quote from the legendary physicist John Wheeler that absolutely nails the concept we're exploring today. He said, "We are not only observers, we are participators." The whole idea here is that we aren't just sitting in a dark theater passively watching a fixed, rigid universe play out on a screen. No, we are actively creating it. We're on the stage. We are participators in literally bringing the universe into existence.
So, here's where the massive divide happens. The classical view of physics treats the universe like this giant, independent machine ticking away on its own. But honestly, that model is struggling right now. It completely fails to explain massive mysteries like dark energy or how the universe got so flawlessly fine-tuned for life. And that brings us to the biocentric view. This paradigm flips the script entirely. It argues that consciousness is the actual foundation of existence. It puts life right at the absolute center, stating that our senses are actively constructing the physical world around us.
Now, to really grasp why the classical view of physics is sort of broken, we have to understand a deeply weird quantum concept called superposition. Before you look at something at the microscopic level, it doesn't actually have a set physical reality. It exists in this blurry, fuzzy state of pure potential. It's basically an undetermined wave of probability, existing in literally all possible places at once. It only snaps into a solid, definite reality when a conscious observer actually looks at it.
And there's this brilliantly famous experiment that illustrates this exactly. The notorious double-slit experiment. So you shoot light through two tiny slits, fully expecting it to make two distinct bands on the wall behind it. But instead, you get this ripple-like interference pattern, which means the light is acting like a wave, somehow going through both slits at the exact same time. But here's the part that will totally break your brain. If you set up a little detector just to watch which slit the light actually goes through, the universe basically knows it's being watched. The act of observing it collapses that wave, and suddenly, it acts like a normal particle again. The simple, everyday act of observing reality literally forces it to choose a shape. Okay, let's take it a step weirder with a test called the delayed choice quantum eraser. This one is crazy because it shows that our observation can actually influence how particles behave in the past. Check this out. If you tag photons as they pass through the slits, but then you randomly decide to erase those tags after the photons have already hit the screen, those erased tags retroactively create a wave pattern. It's literally as if the particles traveled back in time to change their behavior based on a decision you hadn't even made yet. It throws cause and effect right out the window.
And then, of course, we have quantum entanglement. This is a phenomenon where two linked particles affect each other instantly, even if they're separated by massive distances. Einstein actually hated this. He called it spooky action at a distance. But scientists in Vienna actually demonstrated this with massive 60-atom carbon molecules called buckyballs. Think about it. If large molecules can instantly communicate across space as if that space doesn't even exist, it proves that our traditional, classical understanding of a rigid, spaced-out universe is just an illusion.
So all of these scientific anomalies, these bizarre things that just make zero sense under the old rules of physics, are brilliantly reconciled in this book, The Grand Biocentric Design. The lead author, Robert Lanza, is a highly respected stem cell biologist. Get this, he famously skipped school as a kid, managed to hop on a train to Boston, and literally talked his way into meeting a renowned scientist, which eventually landed him a life-changing job at MIT. He, along with theoretical physicist Matej Pavšek, argues that biology, not physics, is actually the fundamental science of the entire universe.
Now consider Lanza's truly fascinating analogy for time. He argues that time is definitely not some ticking clock out in the void of space. Think of it like this. If you pause a movie of a flying arrow, the arrow is frozen. You see its position, sure, but you completely lose its motion. Our human experience of past, present, and future is really just our brain's simplified tool for organizing a fluid, dynamic universe. Time doesn't have an independent existence. It is literally just a biological algorithm our minds use to make sense of change.
And similarly, space isn't just this giant, empty three-dimensional box that we're all floating around in. It's like zooming into Niagara Falls. From a distance, it looks like a solid wall of water, but up close, it's just countless separated dancing droplets. Space is merely a biological tool. Lanza says we carry space and time around with us the same way a turtle carries its shell. They aren't out there. They are the mind's internal tools for putting all our sensory information together.
So let's quickly boil down the book's core principles of biocentrism. First off, they firmly establish that there is absolutely no independent reality outside of your own mental construction. Reality is a process that fundamentally requires your consciousness. The behavior of all particles is inextricably linked to you, the observer. Without you, matter is just that fuzzy blur of probability we talked about. And remember that massive mystery of why the universe is so flawlessly fine-tuned for life? The answer is beautifully simple. It's fine-tuned for life because life literally creates the universe, not the other way around.
Taking this even further, everything from gravity to time are actually just algorithms running in our brain's neurocircuitry. Space and time are quite literally just forms of animal understanding. Even the fundamental forces of physics are just the mind's way of constructing a 3D reality. And crucially, by putting the observer at the center of the equation, biocentrism finally provides a way to fix the biggest bug in science. It actually reconciles the two previously incompatible pillars of physics, quantum mechanics and general relativity, because ultimately observers define the structure of everything.
Think about different creatures for a second. Bats using echolocation, or sharks sensing tiny electrical fields in the water. They perceive entirely different channels of reality, which means there isn't just one single objective world out there. We are actively assigning meaning to our world all the time, much like looking at one of those classic optical illusions. You can choose to focus your eyes and see a vase, or shift your perspective and suddenly see two faces. Your consciousness is fundamentally shaping what you perceive in real time.
Now, why does all this matter? Well, this isn't just some high-level quantum philosophy. This is practically a superpower for your daily life. If your perception literally shapes reality, that means you are an active co-creator. You are not just a passive victim of circumstance. You have this incredible agency to shift your perspective during tough times, fundamentally changing how you experience setbacks and struggles. But, as the book wisely points out, with great power comes great responsibility. If we really are co-creating reality, we have a deep obligation to use this power wisely to positively impact the world and the people around us.
As Lanza reminds us, the universe is not only stranger than we imagine, it is stranger than we actually can imagine. So I want to leave you with this final, powerful question to chew on. If your mind is genuinely, actively shaping the universe every single second, what reality are you going to choose to create today? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep exploring, keep asking those big questions, and remember, you aren't just watching the universe, you're building it.